to speak to the board about any election-related issues not pertaining to our cases that we have on the agenda. When we call each one of those cases, we'll give you an opportunity to speak.
Ring? You think so?
Yeah, I think it said right off the airport. Oh,
It did?
Yep, you're right.
Four in the morning, and you're all alone. No place to go.
Hello?
Greetings. This is again on Free Press, and I'm in Quitman, Georgia. George Boston Ryans, and once again, the Quitman 10 plus 2 Lula Smart once again will be facing a judge and jury. I just came out of the courtroom. This is the second day of these proceedings. They are still trying to select the jury. C.V. King has some very interesting questions to ask, and we just want to say to you that we are very happy to be here. I thank God for us being under this type of government wherein we can ask and be in the courtroom with the video cameras. I made my request and they are in. How you doing today?
Very well.
Good. What's your name?
My name's Kevin Moran.
Kevin Moran. Where are you from?
I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a member of Dr. Joseph E. Lowery's Coalition for the People's Agenda. I've been coming down here for the last 4 years, familiarizing myself with this case against these 11 women and 1 man of the very apparent injustice of this matter. This has been orchestrated from the highest levels of this state. The Secretary of State has a vendetta against these upstanding citizens and is trying to suppress the African American vote, not only here in Quitman, Brooks County, but across the entire southern band of counties in Georgia. The women of the Quitman 10 were very successful in using a strategy that the Republican Party has used very successfully, of using the absentee ballot to increase participation in the process. That's what we all want is in this democracy, is for participation in the process by informed voters. This has been successfully done repeatedly here in Brooks County. These women didn't win just one election. They didn't win just one primary. They have been reelected and reelected by large majorities in every case similar to the initial election. Today, at the end of the day, on a Friday, here in the courtroom,
Yes, sir.
after being here all week, our attorney, Attorney King, had the opportunity to cross-examine the star witness of the prosecution, Mr. Boone of the United States Post Office. Mr. Boone testified that he had collected the names of and written the names of individuals that mailed in an absentee ballot. This is in violation of his charge and his oath as an officer of the United States Postal Service. I don't want my postman going through my mail and recording who I'm getting mail from. I don't expect my mailman to be recording who I'm sending my Christmas cards to. This is a free country. This is the United States of America. We don't spy on each other in this country. But what he was doing doesn't hold up to the light of day. He presented a list that he swore to of 15 names that he swore put in post office collection box all at the same time. And he swore by one person. Well, very interestingly, upon cross-examination, it was shown in black and white on the return envelope for absentee ballots that one was sent in with a date of July 5th, 2010, and one on a date of July 15th. He had previously testified that every ballot that came in was immediately stamped that day by the local Quitman post office and expeditiously delivered to the registrar of voters here in Brooks County. There were 10 days between the receipt of these two envelopes that he had sworn he recorded on the same day at the same time being deposited by the same person. As the defense attorney said, that is a lie. It was proven to the jury, the judge, and all in the courtroom. These postmarked return envelopes showed the dates of July 5 and July 10, respectively. Those aren't recorded on the same day. Beyond this, that opened a can of worms that the defense attorney has exposed, that the prosecution does not have. Of those 15 ballots, they have but 2 of the originals. The other 12 are missing. They are unable to produce them. They brought out all the materials they contend that the prosecution has. Put the boxes out, let the defense attorneys go through them. That's all we have, and these documents are not in there. The original documents that he is making these salacious charges on are non-existent. The chief case agent of the G.B.R. testified that she picked up many, many boxes from the election office here in Brooks County.
Ms. Braswell.
That is correct. Ms. Braswell testified. She also testified as an agent of the G.B.R. that she turned over every bit, all of that material to the prosecution. All that's remaining today are what look to me like 3-4 small boxes of some evidence, some pieces of paper. The prosecutor is even admitting that they probably won't be able to find the originals. The judge has ordered them to produce the originals by the convening of court, in this case the next day on Tuesday. It is highly unlikely after all this. They have looked before. They will not find originals. They know they are not producible. Why do originals that are being used to tarnish the reputation and exposed to convictions of innocent people, why does that evidence suddenly totally disappear? And beyond that, the list that the registrar would have of individuals applying for these absentee ballots has disappeared. There is no record that these individuals, who the postal employee claims all mailed in their ballot on the same day, came in the same stack at identical time, they never show on the records of having received a ballot. The ballots are dated by the post office itself 10 days apart. This is a miscarriage of justice in the state of Georgia that cannot be overlooked. The Secretary of State and the Governor have made it very purposeful that they will send the message that if you are African American and if you run for office and if you honestly win the election, you will be punished. The Governor, the Secretary of State are trying to intimidate and suppress the African American vote since they know if the 400,000 registered African Americans in the state of Georgia that did not vote in the last election cycle come out and exercise a right that people have died for, the right to vote. If the African American community and all people of color exercise their constitutional right to vote, it will mean the demise of this white privileged aristocracy here in Georgia. That is not American. That is not worthy of the state of Georgia. This prosecution is a travesty. The prosecutors, the Secretary of State, the governor should be called out on what they have done to these women and called to publicly apologize for the 4 years that they have put them under this scrutiny and this character assassination. So that's how I feel about today.
Thank you very much. This is the Ghetto Free Press, just keeping it real. Once again, I want to appreciate you. You are a prime example, in my most humble opinion, while we cannot hate one another because of the skin color. It's not about skin color. It's about what is right and wrong. I think perhaps that Jesus put it best, and I put it in my own words. Want for your neighbor that which you want and have for yourself and your own children. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you.
This is the Ghetto Free Press. I'm George Foster Ryan. What do you think will happen here today? What's your name?
Hi, I'm Jody Williams with the People's Agenda Criminal Justice Committee. And we're here at the Brooks County Courthouse where the Quitman 10+2 has selected their jury. And the attorney, they wanted to charge him with the vaccines. And what that is when you select your jury based on race. But this is the third trial. So the first trial, they only had 1 black and 11 whites. The second trial, they had 2 blacks and 10 whites. And today, they selected 6 blacks and 6 white, and they had a problem with that, and that was something they couldn't understand, and I don't understand either.
How did you get here, first of all? Who told you about this, or what the thrust of your purpose in coming here today?
Well, I'm with the People's Agenda, so we've been following this since the beginning, since Tyrone Brooks decided that this was something that the public should know about, and the treatment of the Quitman 10 was unjust.
You also was informing me in the courtroom your opinion, and so I've been following Representative Tyrone Brooks, and some people seem to believe that a lot of his troubles started with the Morris Ford Bridge. I guess you have a kind of different on that?
I have a different opinion because from observing the Morris Ford Bridge and the Quitman 10, all his troubles were started when he pointed out that the governor had signed off on the indictment of the Quitman 10+2.
Okay, also, you talked to someone in Atlanta with the People's Agenda that told you to look for an individual who that individual you was looking for?
This gentleman right here.
George Foster Ryan. Yeah, and what's her name?
Her name is Miss Minnie,
Yes.
Miss Minnie Ruffin.
And the reason I asked you that, with all due respect and honor, is because she has been here several times, and I just didn't want to not mention her name. She is a pioneer, and as you heard me say earlier inside, and that is that we men folk seem like black in our community, look like you all are out in the forefront. I want to commend you for coming down. Will you stick around? You said you're not sure if you're going to stick around.
I may not stick around today, but I will be back tomorrow.
Okay. Anything else you want to say?
That's about it, and I'd like to thank Representative Tyrone Brooks for bringing this to the public so that we can take part in this and make sure that justice is served.
Okay. Once again, this is the Ghetto Free Press. George Foster Ryan. Bye-bye. We'll go. Once again, this is the Ghetto Free Press, and I'm George Foster Ryan. And what's your name once again, my beautiful brother?
George, my name is Kevin Moran.
All right. And you're with the People's Agenda.
I'm with the Coalition of the People's Agenda, convened by Dr. Joseph E. Lowry.
All right. I want to ask you a few questions. Number one, I've been here. I missed Monday because I was up there with the newly elected black Mayor Ann Whippley, who's being mistreated, and I believe it all interrelated together.
Yes.
But I got here Tuesday, and I didn't see any news media here Tuesday. I didn't see any Wednesday. I didn't see any Thursday, and I didn't see any today. I didn't even see any of the news reporters. I haven't seen anything in the Valdosta Daily Times, a metropolitan city. I only saw a little snippet in the Quitman Free Press yesterday when I got that in my mailbox because I subscribed to the paper. But the question is, how do you think that the news media like CNN, MSNBC, even with Al Sharpton, can ignore or omit what is happening here in Brooks County, where we had hundreds of people to march here because this is a very, very high-profile case. Why do you think that the news media are not concerned about voting rights down here in South Georgia? Apparently because they're not here.
The mass media that you refer to is totally owned and operated by the white aristocracy of Georgia. And it is an inconvenient truth that Quitman 10 plus 12 have been salaciously charged.
10 plus 2.
10 plus 2 with charges for crimes they did not commit, and it was proven today in court.
Okay. Another thing I want to ask you is that if you had not spoken out a little bit about what happened here today, I say that this information that took place in the courtroom outside of the transcript, which will be a matter of record for all eternity, I guess, but without that, the local citizens here in Quitman and Brooks County and all around South Georgia, they wouldn't know anything about it, because when the newspapers are written, which I call the archival record, when they read that in 30, 40 years in the schools require these students to do turn papers on the events of yesterday, they won't be able to retrieve that from the newspaper because it wasn't there.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
I think that's why it is essential that this word get out. And I've been fortunate 4 years ago, when you mentioned hundreds of us scattered here on the steps, to be traveling with an international representative of the Mennonite Church, who I contacted last night that this trial is still going on. He has learned the truth, and he is ashamed that the United States judicial system here in Quitman, Georgia, is lynching these 10 plus 2 for acts they never committed, and by the media intentionally, I really believe it is intentionally not being here.
Yes, sir.
It is an inconvenient truth what has been done here. For 4 years, these women and one man have been subjected to daily harangues, allegations by the G.B.R, put in jail because they won an election. They won an election to office that had previously been held by white males. And for the first time, we had African Americans of impeccable character and wonderful qualifications as educators elected to the school board. They've been elected 2 times since by the same plurality. This was not a fluke. This was not a manipulated election. This, unfortunately, for some, is the South of the future. Georgia will become a majority state of colored people. Our brothers and sisters in Christ will be represented. This is a democracy in the United States. We have fought for it. We are entitled to our rights of equality under the law.